Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Adam Interviews, where we are talking to folks in our community doing things of note. Today, I was able to find a person who has written numerous books on Lake Ontario. We kind of just Googled, we said, who in our area has written about Lake Ontario, given the controversy over President Trump's recent threats to change the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. And Susan Gately's name came up right away. She's in our area. We're going to get into where and all that, but she has written numerous a trove of books on the history and ecology of Lake Ontario, and you're not going to believe this. But when I called her today, with her visiting from Canada was a historian from the Canadian side, Ken Fagelman, Dr. Ken Fagelman, and they both have agreed to Zoom. So we are just thrilled to welcome them both. Hi, how are you, both Susan and Ken? How are you doing today?
We are good.
As a Canadian, I'm not going to comment on that because of recent developments in my country and yours, but personally, I'm doing okay. And I should stress, I'm actually an oceanographer and a marine archaeologist.
Excellent. And I believe that you were telling me about the project that you are basically a huge part of. If you wouldn't mind getting into that before we kind of get into this whole issue at hand.
Oh, is that for Ken or for Susan?
Well, for Ken, what is it? Deep Quest, you said?
Quest.
Right, I'm the director of operations. My company is Deep Quest 2 Expeditions. And we're involved in undersea research, documentation, so on and so forth. And we've been doing a lot of work in past years on Eastern Lake Ontario, not Eastern Lake America, by the way. And which is news to me. I never even heard about this Lake America situation till your phone call. And so, but it's ironic that Sue and I are here together yesterday and today working on co-authoring a book on Eastern Lake Ontario, specifically an area known as the Marysburg Vortex, which is a hub of hundreds of shipwrecks beneath Eastern Lake Ontario on both sides of the lake, on the American and Canadian sides of the lake.
Interesting. So where are we talking about? I mean, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and get away from what I should be talking about. But where specifically are you talking? Like Oswego? Like where are you talking about?
We're talking about a triangle, what they refer to as the Lake Ontario Triangle, which stretches from Oswego across the lake to Prince Edward County in Canada, Prince Edward County in an easterly direction to Kingston, Ontario, and from Kingston again back to Oswego to complete the triangle.
Incredible. And by the way, Susan, so when I called, Ken was there with you. What was the reason? How come you guys are together right now? Besides
Well,
co-authoring the book, I know Ken said that, but
yeah,
was it just okay?
as he said, we are co-authoring a book, so we are sitting down and deciding what material that we should put in the book. And we know that there is interest right now in the marine sanctuary process that was started here, oh gosh, 5 or 6 years ago by the US government. And Ken tells me there is some interest in a similar effort on the Canadian side. So we both were excited about the whole cooperative nature of Canada-US policy towards Lake Ontario. So he came down and we're trying to firm up just exactly what we're going to be writing about. And there's a plethora of material, both historic and ecological, that's associated with this area that he mentioned, some of which includes the marine sanctuary. And even as we speak now, NOAA is out there with the Thomas Jefferson mapping the bottom with incredible resolution and detail. And I will be going up on September 2 to the open house for that ship in Oswego.
So oddly enough, folks, if you want to learn more about that ship that's out there right now, we did a story on it just 2 weeks ago. Kayla Smith did it, so feel free to go to rochesterfirst.com and check that out. And then Ken, where in Canada are you from?
Well, originally I'm from Montreal, Quebec. I'm fluently bilingual English and French. I presently reside in Kingston Mills, Ontario, just north of the city of Kingston. I live on the lake on the Rideau Canal system.
Very good. So you live right on the lake. We'll start with you, Ken. Your initial thoughts when you heard today from me that there's a threat to change the name from Lake Ontario to Lake America.
I want to be polite. I'm going to say no comment.
Yeah.
Susan, would you like to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go with a comment my spouse made, which was, I'm not sure that this is really worth discussing seriously. It's
True.
just so counter to everything that we're trying to do here as cooperative neighbors on each side of the lake.
I find it totally ironic that you called today when you've got a Canadian marine scientist and an acclaimed author on the American side sitting down, working together, as Sue said, on a joint venture on quite a serious book on Eastern Lake Ontario, especially from an underwater perspective. It's just totally ironic
Yeah,
and
it is.
bizarre that you called us today. That's really cool,
I
actually.
know. I guess
Yeah.
you can imagine we don't really think it's a great idea.
Yeah. But by the way, I think for me, the word would be serendipitous that I was able to call and get both of you in the same room. Which
Yes,
is,
but I also think that we are symbolic of thousands and tens of thousands of friendly, productive interactions between US and Canadian Lake Ontario residents. We are united by the water.
And Adam, the other ironic thing is I can see myself on the computer here on Zoom. If you can see my sweatshirt that I'm wearing, you can see it's a lighthouse.
Yeah.
This sweatshirt was presented to me as a gift recently. I was a guest speaker for a group in Canada. And this lighthouse on my sweatshirt is in Point Traverse, Prince Edward County on Lake Ontario.
And this lighthouse on his shirt welcomed me to Canada as I sailed across the lake for 30 years. And it was a wonderful sight to see after going slowly across the lake with my little 23-foot boat.
wow.
And it just exemplifies to me the welcome of Canada for years and years when I cruised the lake.
Let me ask you about this. What is the history of the name of Lake Ontario? Where did that come from?
Do you know?
It's from an Indian, a native Indian phrase. I believe it meant Lake of Shining Waters.
That's pretty much what I've heard as well.
Yeah, and that's interesting because your email, it's, at shiningwaters.com.
Silver Waters, I think, was
Silver,
another
right.
translation. I'm not exactly sure even what native language it was, whether it was Haudenosaunee or Huron.
Yeah. So I guess that begs the question then to both you and Ken, both Susan and Ken, is, we had the issue of the Gulf of Mexico became the Gulf of America, according to the Trump administration. But is Lake Ontario, is Ontario even a Canadian name? Is that a reference to Canada, or rather just the name of the lake?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, Ontario is the name of the province of Ontario.
Right. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure which came first, frankly. I don't know. It used to be
Yeah.
Upper Canada
And yeah.
and Lower Canada, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
Possibly the lake got its name first.
Yeah, I never thought about it. It's a good question. I suspect Sue's right that Lake Ontario came first before the province of Ontario became the province of Ontario. And
Yeah.
as I said, I know for sure, I forget what dialect it's from, a native
Yeah.
indigenous dialect that technically meant Lake of Shining Waters.
And so what has the relationship been like, especially amongst the historian community between Canada and the US when it comes to Lake Ontario?
I would say there's been a good deal of exchange. And an awful lot of my historical interest is maritime because I was a yachter, a sailor, and a lot of my material has come from Canada because it has a larger population of people than the New York shore. This is an unusual example in the Great Lakes where the Canadians outnumber us probably maybe 10 to 1 on Lake Ontario. And so it's very, very central to their culture and their daily lives compared to upstate New Yorkers who are often more focused on the canal or the Finger Lakes.
And another aspect of response to your question, sir, ironically, Sue and I are off for a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock before I head back home to Canada. I've got a busy schedule back home, so I'll be leaving this afternoon later on. But we've got a meeting at 1 o'clock with a local museum
History Museum.
whereby they are interested in having me come down in the near future as a guest speaker from Canada to talk about our book and our joint venture, and also to talk about our research on and beneath historic Lake Ontario.
Yep, so there we
Yeah,
go. Historians
go.
cooperate a lot between the two nations.
Yeah, I just can't believe that this is, I was able to land this today and this is what's happening. So, Ken, I believe you're right. I just did a quick Google search. Lake Ontario did appear to come first. It was called that by European settlers in the 17th century in the province of Ontario. I mean, it wasn't, you're talking mid to late 1800s. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Before that, it was Upper Canada.
that's right.
Right. So that's interesting. I wonder if that will play out in this discussion, the fact that the lake was named before Canada was even a thing.
Canada, yeah, right. That's a good point. You
Well-
made an excellent point there.
Trying to be apolitical here, which is impossible for me right now.
Yeah,
Canadian.
Really.
You know, it's so silly to even think that your president would even contemplate changing the name to Lake America or maybe even Lake Trump, for God's sake.
Yeah, not Lake, at least it's not Lake Donald
Yeah.
yet.
Although I
It's
happen
just-
to a beautiful 1 second. I just want to say Lake McDonald in where did I go to? In boy oh boy, right in I'll think of it in 2 seconds. The one of the national parks there
Oh,
was
boy.
beautiful. Glacier. Lake McDonald was absolutely beautiful. Anyway, total sidetrack. Ken, I'm sorry. Please proceed.
Well, as I said, I'm not sure where you want to go with this, except that it's just silly. I mean, when I first heard you say, I never knew, I didn't see anything online about this.
Yes, it was news to me too.
Then you caught me off guard. I thought it was
Yeah.
a joke at first.
Yeah, I
and,
did too.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
well-
kind of serendipitous that you got the two of us together today, you know, at the culmination almost of our conversations about the book. And then, of course, going into a meeting soon with the local museum.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, we don't know right now. It could have been just an empty threat or maybe even a joke. But at the same time, the Gulf of America apparently was not. So, you know, you do have precedent here. I can't imagine the amount of work that it would take should this become official. I don't even know who gets to name this stuff, to be honest with you.
I don't know how they could actually do it. And what about the other Great Lakes?
Well, the story is, how can he do it
Yeah.
when a good chunk of the lake is on the Canadian side in the province of Ontario?
And Lake Ontario, as I said, is unique in that of all the Great Lakes, we, the Americans, are horrendously outnumbered. Something like a third of the province lives in the so-called Golden Horseshoe at the west end of the lake. Burlington, Toronto. Toronto is the largest city in Canada.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got Rochester and Oswego. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
kinda
no,
crazy.
it is fascinating. And Susan, you live in Fairhaven, correct?
Correct.
Where is that for
And-
folks who don't know?
It is about 10 miles west of Oswego,
Okay.
Cayuga
you-
County.
Yeah, you must get so much snow. I can't even imagine.
Well, actually, we have been lucky the last few years. It often just hits a little bit east of us, but Oswego certainly does get snow.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, so your book in particular, I I love that you are going to talk about shipwrecks because I have been fascinated by that. I don't think some people understand just how many ships are at the bottom of the lake and how this was a huge thoroughfare for many of the shippers. So what do you hope to kind of, do you hope to make a discovery while writing this, or do you kind of already have the material and then you just have to write about it?
No, we already have the bulk of the material.
Yeah.
But just to answer your question, the so-called Marysburg Vortex, which is a mythical area of Lake Ontario, I'm not going to go into it right now, but it'll be covered in my lectures and in the forthcoming book that we're working on. Within the parameters, you might say, of the so-called Marysburg Vortex, in that triangle I alluded to earlier, there are believed to be about over 450 shipwrecks, both Canadian and American wrecks, and only about 20% of them have so far been discovered.
And as far as material goes, I'm planning on talking to one of the people involved and probably getting other sources from him. And he is involved right now with that Jefferson survey that's going on right as we speak. So I think we will have some new material in the book.
Hopefully.
Wow, that would be wonderful to
I
to
think
see.
we
Like I
will.
said, when we went on the Jefferson, I was just fascinated by the work they're doing, and
Oh, me
um,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So before I let you go here, because I know that you have an appointment, and again, I'm just so
Yeah,
grateful
we
that you
do.
took time to do this. You know, should this happen, should this turn into more than just a threat, would you ever call it? In your writing, would you change the name in your books, past
Boy,
and present and future?
Never.
I don't see how I could. I just don't think I could.
Hell, I refuse to address the Gulf of Mexico as anything else but the Gulf of Mexico. Why in the world would I change Lake Ontario to Lake
Yeah.
whatever? Doesn't
Well,
make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Silly. It's just silly.
I think
You,
Ken is absolutely right. It's silly.
you know what? You know what I think caused the situation? I'm guessing with Trump and the name of the lake and all that. The Premier of Ontario within the past 24 hours uh, basically told Trump in public that he could kiss his rear end.
Yeah.
And obviously
So
Trump's
yeah.
not happy.
Anyway,
Trump's not happy with that, you know?
So
we'll hope it's
is it difficult? I mean, what's you know, you live in Canada, Ken. Is it difficult right now? Do people see this as just you know, two leaders going at it? I mean, what's your thought on just the relationship between regular Canadians and Americans right now?
Well, let me be quite blunt about it. I have more than half my family resides in the States. Sue's adopted family, not blood family, but many of my friends reside across the U.S. And my wife, who's back home on this trip, isn't with me. And I have refused to cross the border into the States for exactly 2 years, which is when I was last here to see Sue and her husband, Chris. We have not crossed the border for 2 years exactly this month, mainly because of your president. And we are boycotting purchasing any and all goods from the States. I know it sounds silly and trivial, but even in the grocery store, we look at labels on produce and, you know, lemons and cantaloupes and watermelon. We'll either won't buy them, or if they're from somewhere else in the world, we'll buy them, but if they're from the US, we won't touch them. And
Interesting.
I'm not happy about that, but it's our little way of
yeah,
telling Mr. Trump and the US what we think about what's going on right now.
they don't approve.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, both, thank you so much. Any final words on the history of Lake Ontario, or when we can expect your book or anything like that?
Go ahead.
If you stay abreast, you've got Sue's website, I guess.
Yes.
So follow her website and you'll know what's happening. It's a very exciting book. It's not just for anybody in particular, it's for everybody. And it's not just about shipwrecks, by the way.
Right.
A very important part of the book is talking about a 460-year-old meteorite crater uh, about 25 kilometers west of Kingston on the bottom of the lake, uh, which most people don't even know exists. This huge meteorite crater under Lake Ontario, not Lake America. And there's a lot of history involved with this crater and some of the strange phenomena that have occurred within the so-called Marysburg vortex were no doubt the aftermath of magnetic anomalies caused by this Charity Shoal crater.
And I'd like to just say one real quick thing, which is we must continue to treasure Lake Ontario and work with Canadians to preserve it. We see the terrible situation in the U.S. Southwest with not having enough water, and who knows what these people like Trump are thinking as far as our water resources go. And we know that he can take action in unpredictable ways, and we've got to protect this water. It's just part of the largest freshwater system in the world, and it's priceless.
Yes, absolutely. So a couple quick things before I let you go here. You're absolutely right. I just checked it. It's the Iroquois name. It is Shining Waters. That's the word. So you're perfectly correct there. And just triple checked. It is the province of Ontario came from Lake Ontario because Lake Ontario was named much before the province. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And Susan, I'm so glad you made the point about the freshwater. I tell people that all the time, despite our difficult winters. I think that our spot on the globe is going to be very coveted in the coming years.
I'm afraid that could be true.
So, well, both thank you. So Susan Gately and Ken Fagelman, Dr. Ken Fagelman, thank you both so much for joining me for this discussion. And thank you for your work throughout the years. And I'm greatly looking forward to seeing what comes next with your collaboration.
Thank you. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to obtaining a transcript of this interview so that we could use it up in Canada.
Yeah, and if you want to send me your email, I can keep you up to date with press releases or whatever.
Sounds good. I'll be happy to do that. I'll send you the link to this interview.
Oh, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. And we have Susan Gately, Ken Fagelman talking to me from Fairhaven, the two of them working on a book. As it happens, I literally just called Susan, as I noted at the top of the interview here, because we saw that she's an expert on Lake Ontario, and we got two. What do I like to say? We kissed two birds with one one smooch here. So, Ken and Susan, thank you so much, and thank you all for watching today. Always so grateful that you choose News 8. Tell your friends and family about the Rochester First app, as we are constantly trying to keep it going. All right, take care, everyone.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 on demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.